Welcome to Tech Challenge Makers Conquer E-commerce. I'm Elise, your resident tech expert and author of the book Browser versus Buyer. I've worked with entrepreneurs for over 6 years, and I've helped hundreds of creatives overcome their technology fears. Gain clarity and direction in your business with Elise's E-commerce Elevator 6-month group coaching program. Join now at myscheduledbiz.com/elevator. The link is in the show notes. Today, we're going to be talking with Kathryn Harris from Kathryn Colby Photography. She is a brand and lifestyle photographer. After decades of photographing hundreds of weddings and constantly missing out on her children's weekend activities, Kathryn transitioned into lifestyle and brand photography 5 years ago. Connecting with people and capturing their stories is her deepest passion, and the greatest compliment a client can give is that she makes them feel completely comfortable in front of the camera. By the end of this episode, you'll understand why photography is so important to your business, the technology that you can use, and of course, as always, walk away with one action step. So Kathryn, I am so glad to have you here to share your expertise with us. Can you share a little bit about your business and your experience with e-commerce?
Absolutely. Like you said, I have always been a super passionate person about photography since I was a little kid. I used to go to my grandparents' house and just, peruse through their life magazines and just look at all the beautiful, candid shots or, moments. And so once I graduated from college, I got into public relations and marketing and decided that I didn't like working corporate. And so I met my husband that at the time was my boyfriend, and I was not really happy in what I was doing. And so he said, you need to fulfill your passion. And so he bought me my first camera, and I took photography in college, but that was a million years ago. So it was actually when you had to go into a dark room and there was no digital. And I basically am self-taught, but I did a ton of second shooting, and I began doing wedding photography. I loved it. However, after, like you said, missing a ton of stuff, I realized that I really wanted to work when my kids were in school. I have a 9 and 12-year-old and a 20-year-old stepdaughter. And so I decided that I would prefer to do things more during the weekday and kind of help. I love to help small businesses and kind of show people how to really shine through brand photography, because as social media has become so significant, I've noticed that people have such a hard time trying to figure out what they're going to post. And so what I try to do is help people really show their brand through social media.
So many things that I could comment on there. First, photography was one of my absolute favorite classes in high school, and I absolutely loved doing it the old-fashioned way. So I'm totally on board with that. Not that I was ever actually a photographer, but that was one of my favorite classes. And your story lines up so well with so many of the makers that listen to this podcast and e-commerce shop owners, because so many of us, what we do now is not where we started. Your passion changes and you decide to do something different. Maybe you were in corporate, or you might have been a nurse, or, you have the same story over and over again. Doesn't exactly line up, but that's why you're exactly perfect for the Bizzers, because you know what this is like, having to try and figure out how to make your passion be your business, right?
Sure.
So yeah, I'm so glad to have you here and that you can relate so well to the Bizzers. So we're going to move on to our next question. If you didn't have anything else you wanted to say about that. Okay. So how does photography impact sales? This is really what they care about, right? Why is photography an important key to increasing sales? Before we jump into the rest of the episode, please share this podcast with other business owners that it can help. Also, be sure to stick with me to the end of the episode to learn your challenge for today and implement what you've learned.
Relatability, I would say number one. Even when social media began and I would be looking at websites, or I would be going onto other photographers' websites or whatnot, I never saw pictures of them. And it's more just seeing a face behind, like nobody, including myself. It's really difficult for me to even do this. I don't feel very comfortable, but as you know, the more you do it, the more you feel better about it. And I just feel like brands really need to show the face behind whatever it is you're selling, because it's relatability. It's also trust. You just have more of a connection when you know who the people are behind what you're trying to purchase.
100%. I 100% agree with you. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be mean, guys. You know how I feel about this, but there are thousands, hundreds of thousands of brands that make probably almost identical to what you do. And one of the things that makes you different as a maker is your ability to connect with people, to
Absolutely.
relate with them. So yeah, 100%. Photography is huge. And so this is, Kathryn's talking specifically about photography of like you as the business owner, but photography of your products is the same thing, right? When you tell a story in your products, that makes you relatable also. Oh, look at how cute that looks in the crib. You know, if you're selling a baby blanket or whatever the case may be, that's where like lifestyle photography and all of these things come in. And so, yeah, relatability, 100%. I'm with you. I'm on board, Kathryn.
Yes.
Okay. So are you ready for our third question?
Sure.
So this podcast, of course, is all about tech. That's what I'm sort of known for, is my ability to take tech and just sort of plow through it no matter what it is. I've had people hire me for jobs and I had never even seen the software they wanted me to work on before. So, and tech is also one huge hindrance for the bizzers. And so I always like to talk about tech here. So the question is there any specific technology that you would recommend to help our listeners with their photography? Want more help with your e-commerce brand? Subscribe to Tech Challenge Makers Conquer E-commerce on your favorite podcast platform so that you don't miss any of the episodes that are released every week to help you grow your e-commerce shop.
Okay. People always say you got to be kidding me, but this is the truth. Your iPhone. The end, your iPhone. Like, yes, I definitely can see the difference in the pictures that I take besides what other people take, but people feel as if they have a business and they want to take great pictures, they're going to have to spend thousands of dollars on all this product for photography. And phones have become so good that honestly, the ease of them, the simplicity, being able to go on YouTube and you literally can just Google, or, you know, I have people that are asking me and I show people that is like my jam. If you don't want to, some people just say, I want you to do my brand photography. You have the eye for it. You have the skills, whatnot. And so obviously I use my Canon and I take all the beautiful fancy pictures. But for the most part, if you're just kind of looking to take pictures, the most important thing is lighting. It truly is, especially in my kind of work. I do use flash and whatnot, but I prefer natural lighting. I prefer when I shoot brands or I do shoot product when it comes to white backgrounds and things like that, but it always has to turn with light coming through, or when people, it's all about lighting and being able to understand just small minor things about the phone that you actually are using every single day. You can do it. I also think that people tend to use a lot of filters, or they tend to use a lot of different things. It needs to be very cohesive. Your social media and your website needs to be cohesive. It all needs to kind of look very cohesive, like you're taking pictures within the same light, or if you're going to use a filter, use that same filter all the time.
Yeah. So guys, you know, when I started this podcast, I had a few people tell me that it was probably a mistake to focus so heavily on tech, but this is exactly the point. Kathryn has hit the nail on the head here. Tech does not mean it has to be super, super difficult or it has to be super complicated.
No.
I said iPhone. You guys know I'm an Android user. I use my Android phone. I know that
Android.
Things.
No. I just mean phone. No, seriously. I mean, Samsung have these amazing. I just personally have an iPhone. But yeah. I mean, just your phone. Truly, truly your phone, because that is going to take away the intimidation of photography. Is when you're able to use the actual camera that you have with you at all times. Plus, it's so easy to do it that way.
Yeah, exactly. And you guys know, those of you who have taken any of my courses or my classes, that there's so many options on so many of the platforms to do things like add sounds, and you can even edit the thing on Instagram or on TikTok or on YouTube. You don't even necessarily have to do this huge, heavy editing. If you just take your phone, make sure you have good lighting and go. Like, that's really all it is.
Absolutely.
The other thing I think is really something that people miss, I think, on photography, Kathryn, is they take too few pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, as a novice photographer, I'm not a real photographer.
Sure.
The best thing that I've ever done is take more photos than I think I need. So if you want 10 photos, you take 100.
Sure. And let me reiterate that one thing that I said about the natural lighting. That's my style. But if you want to do flash, or if you want to use something, say that you're doing it, just be consistent in whatever style that you're choosing to use. It just needs to like look pretty and everything looks the same. That's basically what I say. I shouldn't have said just natural lighting.
Right. But you need to have good lighting, regardless of whether that's natural or artificial. It needs to be good lighting. You have to be able to see. And this is something I see for a lot of makers is they're taking photos of their products or of themselves. And the lighting is so terrible that you can barely even see what it is that you're looking at.
Sure. And another reason why I prefer natural lighting is because when I did wedding photography, I would go to all these different venues and I never knew exactly what the lighting was going to be. And they always say there's two different kinds of photographers. There's the ones, that you can see the feelings and the connection, this and that, and then the tech ones. I am 100% opposite of you. I mean, as far as tech, I do the tech, I learn the tech, but tech does not come easily to me. And so I felt like natural lighting, I know how to deal with lighting so much easier. I know where to put the shade. I know what you need underneath, neutral backgrounds or brick or whatnot to utilize those spots. Plus it's a lot easier. I feel like just, like you said, the novice that just, doesn't know how to specifically do all these technical things with it. You can always find shade or good light somewhere if you know how to do it.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so let's move on to our next question.
Okay.
What is one piece of advice that you would give to every e-commerce shop owner about photography?
I would say know your lighting. I really seriously would. I would say just like you said, I would say not only that, I mean, when you're taking pictures, I think that YouTube is amazing, or just, getting information or, seeing how people are taking different pictures, and, you can Google and search all that. But also I feel like take a bunch of pictures, like you said, and do them in different places, right? Like where the sun is in front, sun is in back, then you'll get an idea. Because if you really know where placement is and lighting, you're not going to have to do a ton of editing behind, because that's such a waste of time. So it's better to know where everything is. And if you're going to shoot product and you're going to shoot product in a specific location, do it always in the same place at your house. I mean, I live in California, so we're really lucky. There's tons of light most of the time, but I know that I have a client that lives in the East Coast and it can get super like dark and whatnot. So they've got to do it in a completely different way than I do, right? So it's kind of like just know the best time if you're going to do natural lighting, or if you're going to do, flash photography, or if you're going to use lighting concepts, or do it in the same place at the same time so everything looks cohesive. I would probably say that. I would say educate yourself on doing it and make sure that you're doing it in alignment as you always have.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. So gets educated and be consistent. That's what we're looking at here.
Yeah. And then I also feel like another thing that is super important to me, what I always tell people with brand photography. I mean, as you know, I'm sure you show your face quite a bit on this, but like, if I ever put a personal, post about myself or my family, whatever, that's the one that gets the most likes. That's the one that gets the most, right? And it's just because people are genuinely, I think, interested in the name behind the brand, or you feel relatable. So I always tell people, it doesn't matter what you're selling, put your face out there every once in a while and get some professional, nice pictures. I'm huge about making people feel really comfortable in front of the camera. I know about angles and things like that. If you're going to do it yourself, or you're going to have, a friend or whatever do it, or even set it up with a timer, also Google and search the different angles that you're able to use, so you don't hate those pictures, but you got to get yourself in those pictures too.
Yeah, for sure. The best is always when you're sharing yourself. For me, it's funny because I change my hair so much that people are like, is this old? Is this new? Did you switch your hair again? What's going on? So for me, it's a little bit interesting. Nothing ever looks the same. Nobody ever knows what's going on. But
sure.
Yeah, for the most part, I think most people pretty much more or less look the same time after time. So the reason I'm saying that is you can totally reuse the same photo or the same that you took, a little while later and get more.
Well, I have a lot of people That's what I do with brand photography. I will have clients that they'll have, 3 or 4 different outfits, and they'll have, a jacket on with a dress, and then they'll take off their jacket, and then, they put their hair in a ponytail, or they put a hat on. I mean, you can bang all these pictures out within a couple hours and be able to have, a month or 2 months worth of pictures. And that's what I try to say and do is like, you don't have to do it every single day. When you like what you're wearing, when you like, when you have some time or whatever, that's when you just, change your shirt, go this place in the area as opposed to this. It's easy.
Yeah, I actually did. I did this like challenge for myself, and this has been a while back, where I wanted to get 600 selfies in one sitting. That was like my goal.
Oh my God.
So I literally had every piece of clothing that I owned was hanging up, and I was looking at other people's YouTube channels because I was doing this for thumbnails specifically,
right,
to see what faces they put on their thumbnails because I didn't know at the time. And so I'm sitting there looking at the thumbnails going, or, like whatever, trying to mimic what other people have done. And just, I would do like every shirt, I would do like 4, 5, 6 photos. Then I would take it off, put on another one, 4, 5, 6 photos. And I got like 500 selfies all in like 3 hours. Just rapid fire, just taking a picture. We've been using those same selfies for the last, like, I don't even know, 2 years or something.
That's awesome. You know what I was going to say too, is that we as people, whatever, that are critical or whatever, we're going to pick a picture that we think look a certain way. And what I always do is I can, like 99% of the time, if you ask people like, which picture do you like? It's the one that you just look the most natural and relatable, and like you just look like friendly, whatever, versus like so perfect and everything looks like cookie cutter. It's just that one. So people like, you know what I mean? Like if you look in the back of a book cover and you see the picture and they look really stiff versus just themselves, like that, my whole passion for my job is having people really look like themselves in pictures and not looking like stiff. That's really important to me.
Yeah, I found when I first started doing this whole thing, I found that the best photos that I was able to take of myself were actually not photos at all. They were videos. So I would go on video and I would start talking and I would be smiling and, like I'm talking to somebody, and then we would go and we would take a still. We would take a still out of the video, because when I tried to smile for a photo or look like I was being on a photo, I did not look like me.
Right. Exactly. I like that you noticed that. It's so true. It really is.
All right. Well, guys, I think we've given you way more than one tip here. So hopefully you're able to take some of what Kathryn and I have been discussing and apply it to your own business. If you're looking for someone to help you with photography, Kathryn, I don't remember where you're located. California, right?
It's okay. I live in Huntington Beach, California.
Okay. So if you happen to be close to her, I'm sure she would love to work with you. If not, you can always reach out to her if you've got questions. You can always message her on Facebook. And
absolutely, I
really hope that you guys have found this useful. Kathryn, your website is KathrynKolbe.com. There'll be a link here on the video. And you told me that Instagram is the best place to connect. Is that correct?
It is. I mean, I'm bad about Facebook. I have Facebook, but I do not go on it nearly as much as I do Instagram. I'm on Instagram all the time. Facebook, I am, but not as much.
Okay, so go check out her Instagram, because she's a good photographer. So you can go steal some ideas by going and seeing what she's doing.
There you go.
All right. Thank you so much for being with us today, Kathryn. Bizzers, I hope to see you soon. If you like what we're doing here at Tech Challenge Makers Conquer E-commerce and it's helping you gain clarity and direction in your business, you should check out Elise's e-commerce elevator. In this 6-month group coaching program, I'll guide you through the ins and outs of building a business for purchase conversion. You'll also get to join up with a small group of other e-commerce shop owners who are focused on building exponential growth and reaching the right audience. Head over to myscheduledbiz.com/elevator and join us. We welcome a limited number of new members every 6 months, and by signing up today, you'll reserve your spot. Thanks for listening. See you next week right here on Tech Challenge Makers Conquer E-commerce.